Welcome to Focusing Pathways. In this episode, Elaine chats with Naty Calviño from Argentina. Naty is a focusing-oriented therapist and a focusing coordinator with the International Focusing Institute. She describes how she was introduced to focusing while interpreting a workshop for Anne Weiser Cornell and Barbara McGavin in Argentina, and how she immediately recognized something she had always been seeking. For Naty, focusing is so much more than a practice you engage in. It's a way of life. I hope you enjoy listening to Naty and Elaine share their enthusiasm for the magic that is focusing.
Welcome, Naty. I'm very excited to be talking to you today. I'm really looking forward to our conversation. So really happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here with you, Elaine and Therese. Delighted.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. We're so happy. I guess we'll begin like we always do, but maybe just taking your time to really sense the question and see what comes as well. And so it's just an invitation as we go along to take a time to pause, and if you wish. So I'm just gonna drop in the first question, and that is, how did focusing find you?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I love it because I think I was looking for it
Yeah.
during my whole life. It's like I was meant to find it. It's like, but when something happens to me there, because when I'm asked this question, it's like, how does focusing, and then the name focusing sounds like a little bit strange because, and I'm going to say why, because to me, focusing is more a way of being than something there. I mean, like it's a putting it a name would be like somehow objectifying it, or I don't know, or maybe relating it to it is a practice, yes, but it's for me it's mainly a way of being. And ever since I have a memory, I've been looking for something different in the world. It was like I could see all the world around me and how people related to each other, especially in my family. And I was always thinking there has to be more than this. There has to be more. There has to be more than this. The concepts and patterns and structures and I was always looking for different ways to find that. So I went in different paths and journeys, and I used to read a lot of biographies of very spiritual people. I don't know, for example, Saint Francis of Assisi, and I loved his story, and I loved how he lived in contact with nature and in contact with himself and with other people, and then, but I in very much in contact with nature. I found that need for that more deeper connection with myself, but I didn't find it all the time. Well, I still don't find it all the time, to be honest. But it's like so it was the search for a very profound connection with myself and with everybody and everything else, because there's not one without the other. I have this feeling that it's the more I'm connected with myself, and I cannot say just with myself internally, because it's internally and externally it's the same thing, but it's the feel is about that. It's about finding this deeper connection that is inside and outside, and has a totally different quality, has a different feel, is a different space, time. It's like when at the beginning, when you said, oh, okay, so let's sense into our bodies, and just doing that and just feeling into what we're doing here. We are here, and this is our experience, being here together at this moment, in this time and space, and so it's then how, and if I go deeper into that, is wow, what more is there? So I can go, I can allow for a felt sense to form, and for even more to come. So it has that richness that is like never finishing. Never finishing, because the more I go there, and more can come, and so I know I went other ways with your question, but so that was my search all my life. And then specifically how I find focusing was when Ann Weiser and Barbara McGavin came to Argentina to do their treasure maps for the soul. And I was doing counseling at the time. I was studying, and the person-centered approach. And one of my teachers asked me, "Oh, could you be an interpreter for Barbara?" And I said, "Yes." I don't know what that is all about, but yes, I can do that. So it was fascinating. It was just fascinating. I remember this happened at a beautiful place on the outskirts of Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Anne and Barbara were presenting all this wonderful thing that they do, and there were two interpreters. There was one person interpreting for Anne, and I myself for Barbara. And at one moment, they did a demo. So Anne was listening, and Barbara was focusing. And so I was sitting right behind Barbara, and I had my eyes closed, and Barbara too, and there were these long silences and these pauses, and it was like I could feel my body getting into that place that I was mentioning before, that place of a deeper connection. And then when Barbara began to speak from that place, I could feel something so special there. So of course, I was not feeling what she was feeling, but there was something very special. And I said, "Oh, wow, this is it. This is what I've been looking for all my life. This sense of being really there, really, really, really there, grounded, connected, feeling everything." And so that was it. And then I don't know how I went on interpreting. I just because it was so powerful. So at that time, in the place I was doing counseling, there was Mónica Pérez Iturraspe, who was my coordinator. She was giving this program, this focusing program. So I said, I'm going to do that. So then I became a trainer, and then I began to teach focusing together with her at that place. And then I wanted more, and I started to read everything I could about Gendlin and his articles and his books, and it was something, a non-stop thing that still continues, because I'm still in every article, I'm right now I'm reading, I'm doing a class with Rob Parker about APM, a process model, and also experiencing and the creation of meaning. And there's so much coming from the reading of those books. It's like Gendlin's philosophy is just amazing. And what I have found is that the deeper I get into the philosophy, the more I can make this more a way of being continuously. I don't know if that makes sense. Is
Yes,
that
it
clear?
does.
What
Yes,
I'm
very
saying?
clear. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful, and Naty, that was just so rich, just hearing all of that, and I really felt that do you know, at the beginning when you said the word focusing just doesn't seem to fit because it's such a thing we carry in our body. It's almost like another sense or something. Would you say it felt like that more than something we learn? It's like we already know it. We just kind of forgot how to tune into it.
Yes, exactly. It's like Jen Lin speaks about the implicit consciousness. And I love that phrase because,
Yeah.
and he says that we live in the implicit. We live in the implicit. And but we are not, it's like there's something that we do that is about focaling and having our attention on some things. So we live in this world and we need to do things and we need to go buy things. We are and there are urgent things and there are many times we find ourselves in the midst of worry or different situations in life. But whenever we pause, no matter what we're going through or what is the situation or what is the urgency or whatever we are going through, the moment we can pause and just be with all that is happening and everything that is our experiencing at that moment. So how we are living the situation, any situation at any given moment, there's this I was going to say solution there, but it's not about solution, but kind of, everything is okay, because then it's like the our bodies are always wanting to go in the direction of life, and whenever we pause and we switch into that state of being in contact with that more, with that implicit consciousness, we have a different kind of wisdom. Maybe the I know the word was not solution, it was wisdom. There's another wisdom, there's another, and when I said no matter what happens, because we can feel different things and we can go through moments that are not always happy. We can be sad or we can be frustrated or we can be worried or we can I don't know, whatever, but that also has a richness and something much more when we can be with that, whatever it is, the sadness, the frustration, whatever.
Yeah, amazing. And it's like there's something so special about implementing that just little pause that it just gets overlooked so often in our lives, that it's almost something that's what we actually need to learn, is the pause, and then all the wisdom comes from that. And also what comes, like the wisdom come, but also being with the wisdom to make sure that that's also correct. It's like taking that extra step to say, yeah, does that really feel right? And it's so clear, isn't it, from the body when it says, yes, this is what it is.
Yes, the pause and so many people I've found are many times trying not to have the pause. It's like the contrary, because in ordinary life we feel like oh, okay, we need to be busy doing things so we don't hear what we don't want to hear, so we are not in touch with what we do not want to be in touch, so we try to distract ourselves, and and Jenlyn says that is skipping the process. We skip the processes, and because we have we have the idea that doing that, oh, everything is going to be okay. And that never happens. It's never okay in that way. It's never okay when I run away from whatever is happening. So that is something very, very important to let people know, that what you were saying, Elaine, the pause is so important. And it's not that we are going to go and get into touch with demons there. There are no demons there. On the contrary, the what we are running from sometimes needs to be looked at with gentleness, with curiosity, because there's always a reason for whatever is in our bodies, in our insides. It's like if we are feeling a certain way, there's always a reason for that. So we can go and be curious about that. And with that, what I love about focusing is that it has this gentleness. We can go and as if I were with a friend, and try to get to know that part of me that I don't like, or that part of me that I had been running away from, or that inner child that was hurt. And when I go there and I am with that, it's like I let, it's like, for example, with my inner child, I can let her know, oh, I'm listening. So whatever had been, was afraid, whatever had been not allowed to speak or not allowed to be felt, it's like now I, as this higher me, my higher self, I can go there, I can go to that place and like giving it permission to be, to just be. So that inner child that had been hurt can be listened to, finally can feel safe enough to express and to say whatever there is there, and so that can move forward, and that hurt child can become whole again. And that is a wonderful thing to do. A wonderful thing to do.
It's got a touch of magic to it,
Yes.
There's healing, that healing touch when it does let go, or it finds its own way out. It's so empowering, because it's not us doing it for that part of us that felt that way. It's something so, like, in the approach to it with kindness and gentleness. It's really an approach with not feeling sorry for, isn't it? It's really like, yes, you're allowed to be here exactly as you are, and I'm not trying to fix you or find a solution. And I think there's so much freedom in that, around that. It opens up more room for it to be fully felt, I guess.
Yes, and as you said, Elaine, you said something exactly as you are, without trying to change anything, without wanting to change anything, just and it's the same way. Sometimes we are it's easier to be like that with somebody else, when some person is in need, and we listen to that person, and we're open to their needs and to whatever is happening to them. And sometimes it's not as easy to do that with ourselves. Sometimes we are more critic of ourselves than others are. and so this is something very powerful, and that is why I also believe that therapy, adding focusing to therapy, is so rich and so wonderful, because it's doing this with with clients, it's doing this with other people. It's like really, really listening. And we all need one of our biggest needs is to be listened to, really listened to, and to be understood. And when we find that, it's like, I don't need to say this again. She got it. Like you're here, you're listening to me, and I feel you're understanding what I'm saying, and we're having this conversation, and it feels good.
Yeah. There's something really incredible about having another person kind of reflect back, not even in the exact words, but just to know that you have been, or even just a part of you has been understood and accepted without trying to make it feel better, or and it's the power in that is unbelievable. And I know you said you did person-centered therapy with was it Carl Rogers?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So he really brought that listening side into it, didn't he? And into therapy. And I guess Jean then built on that. Can you tell us a little bit more about, what Carl kind of brought to the process and what Jean has taken and
Oh,
brought into
yes.
focusing as well?
Oh, yes, yes. The first thing that I loved about Carl Rogers, because I got to know about him before I got to know about
Yeah.
Jean Jandlin. So it was the attitudes, the empathy, the unconditional positive regard and congruence. And I just loved that because it was about, okay, but I had a wrong idea of being empathic was. I thought that being empathic was like putting myself in the other person's shoes, and I can never do that. It's impossible. I cannot do that. I'm this person, the other person is another person. But what I can do is I can try to build a bridge to really understand what is the other person's inner world like. And this was something that I learned from Carl Rogers, and also the unconditional positive regard, what we were talking about before. It's like it's listening without judgment, without I don't even care what the person is doing or how bad the person can be in the world, because it's about looking behind the struggle, seeing what the person is that might be doing something that might be wrong, what that person is struggling with. And then so when we are able to do that, it's so different, so different. And then the third attitude, that is congruence. It's about being real, being a real person with another, not just having this professional wall, and I am the professional and so it's like I'm a real person with another real person, because Jenlin says, now I'm going to Jenlin. It's very easy to go to Jenlin. He speaks about interaction first, and it's like that. Interaction is first. So so when we are with another person in a therapeutic space, it's all about being the kind of interaction that will make the person better, a different kind of interaction from the one that caused trouble. And so okay, so then that's I got into contact with Rogers, and then when I got to know a little bit more about, how did they come together? And it was because Roger Genlin went to Chicago, and he was working with Rogers in this investigation about what was it that made some clients successful in therapy. And they did a lot of research about that, and they found out that what made clients successful in therapy was this thing that some people did within themselves, what we were saying before, the pause, the checking. So these were clients that did something like Oh, yeah, I'm feeling sad, but let me see. There's more than sadness there. This kind of checking and allowing for a felt sense to form, and then the felt sense has this power to move forward and change and bring different steps of change. So that was how they discovered this. And then, well, then their paths were got separate at a certain point. But and I did get more interested in Gendlin's work. So I also wanted to do more research and read more and get more into his philosophy and everything.
Mm.
But it's
Yeah.
an amazing thing that they did together also.
Yeah, really, really incredible. And I think what, like, at the core of me, what I love hearing is that, I think even Jean said it, it's you can have your toolbox of all your academic education and all of that you have, but it really is about just being a person showing up with another person and being that shaky human being, like that getting away from having to be perfect or having to have the answers, and actually just that inner connection between two people can be incredibly powerful. And yeah, so grateful for coming across that. Like, it's like, yeah, learning it, but having people show up for you is such a privilege. Such a
Yes,
privilege.
yes, being a person with another person, that's so powerful. And knowing what you said, Elaine, that we don't have the answers because the
Yeah.
only one who has the answer is the person.
Yeah.
We cannot have the answer for another person. It's we can the only thing we can do is create a safe enough space for the person to be able to be more in touch with whatever is inside,
Yeah.
and creating this kind of interaction also. But that's such a complete different way of doing therapy, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So just leading me on to that next question for you. In terms of, before you knew focusing, were you kind of established in the therapy world, or was it part of your training and it just all kind of came together? Um,
That's a wonderful question. It all came together because
okay.
I was in my second year studying the person-centered approach when I got to know about focusing with Anne and Barbara. So I did everything at the same time. I became a focusing trainer when I was getting my degree as a counselor. So it was
Okay.
it was at the same time. At the same time. So I didn't, if this was a question, if I understood correctly, I wasn't a therapist
Yes.
before knowing about focusing.
Yeah, yeah.
Then, of course, I got more into focusing oriented therapy, and I went on reading and not only reading, but doing lots of supervision
Yeah.
and having the experience, because it's more about having the experience. And of course, I had to I had to work a lot with myself,
Yeah.
because at the beginning, even though I knew about focusing and all of this, it was like, oh, I need to do things all right. I was worried about doing whatever the person needed, and that in many cases is a great limitation, because we get stuck there instead of allowing for and creating this space, and
Mhm.
it's a totally different way. So yes, I had to learn a lot
Yeah,
through experience.
there's something like so difficult, I guess, in one way, but incredibly transformative in another, is that radical acceptance of self, like accepting yourself for who you are, flaws and all, and knowing that like you're never going to be perfect. You're not going to, and
Yes.
to navigate your way with that, you know, it's a journey,
Mhm.
a continuous journey, you know. It's like you may feel you get to a point where you're feeling really good about yourself, and you know that that's when the next challenge is waiting for you.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. And I am very familiar with that sense of of knowing that that I don't know anything. And oh, okay. But there's like it's Krishnamurti who speaks about that freedom from the known, and I love that because it's like when I feel that I don't know, then I can be curious, and then I can be surprised, and then I can go to places, and with that what's the word in English? Asombro in Spanish. It's like with that expectation, with allowed to be surprised.
Yeah, I like that. I love the way you put that, you know, allowed to be surprised. And that word, being curious, you know, it's not about, oh, here's another thing now I need to look at or to deal with, but having that curiosity, you know, attitude towards it is it lightens the load, you know. It feels less I guess like a burden or less like a challenge, but more like for, well, this is for me anyway. I know that it feels, you know, like you feel like you once you fix, not, yeah, fix, see that I've used that word fix there now, and it's incorrect because with focusing, it's never about that. It's just about meeting whatever comes where it's at. And I really love the word curiosity, and meeting it there is that word is powerful. And it's amazing when you find the right word, how much it can release that resonance, isn't it? It's beautiful.
Yes, yes, yes. Finding the rod is like finding this. I've always had this thing with words and concepts, like they are never enough. It's like there's always so much more that you can say, so much more, so much more, not that you can say, so much more there than can be said.
Yes.
And at the same time, there's power in finding the right, as you were saying, Elaine, the right word, the word that interacts with that feeling, with that sense.
Mhm.
So and that brings it's like brings it to it's like I go back to the title of his book, Experiencing and the Creation of Meaning. It's like,
Mhm.
and then the concepts come, but then they have a different quality. They come from experiencing, and it's
Yeah.
different. And there's power also in the concepts, in the images, in whatever
Mhm.
the handle is. Jeline speaks
Yes.
about the handle,
Yeah.
and it's what interacts, and because when you were saying this, I felt, yes, there's a relief when I get the word. Like when I
Yes.
was looking for the word, I used a word, and then I found the word wisdom. Oh, yes, it was wisdom.
Yeah.
My body that says yes. The body says yes. And
Yeah.
something happens there, and something, this is the amazing thing. Something shifts there. There's a body shift that is so powerful, because
Yeah.
when there's a shift, it's like the whole body changes, and so the whole way we are living any given situation changes. It's different. And it's crazy to think it that way sometimes, but it is like it's like a different paradigm also.
Yeah. Yeah. I just love that you used the word handle. I know we're talking about words, but it reminded me of when I finished my training, I was really stuck with sharing focusing, I mean teaching focusing, and I sat with it and I focused with it, and I was like, there's a block here, there's something that's just not working for me, or I don't feel, I feel scared and all that. But the word when the word share came, it was like it opened the door, and it was like, oh, I can do it now. I can do it now, because I wasn't teaching it, I was sharing it. So it took
Ah,
away any expectation
wow.
from me.
Yes.
So it released it, and like that, I had that whole body sensation of, oh, I can actually
Wow.
do it now, and relief. So it's amazing what finding the right, way of saying something can really change a stuckness that might be inside, isn't it?
Yes, I can just feel into that. It's like the word teach was heavy, was like
Yes.
seemed like a burden.
Yeah.
And then you had the word share, and it brought a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Wow, how wonderful. How
Yeah.
wonderful. And from there, I can imagine the sense of freedom and more and much more. I'm just
Yeah.
asking with curiosity there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So much more. It released me from any um I don't want to say burden, there's probably another word for it, but any kind of expectations that I that word should is like
Mm.
a really good one to get rid of, or to be curious about, um,
Yes,
to and to
absolutely.
but it did, and it just made me feel more like myself, and being that it's okay. Like I know how to focus myself, and just being there from that place inside, that something will come, and that trusting that wisdom
Yes,
in the interaction with the other as well, is just, yeah,
yes,
it's just allows you to be
absolutely.
you.
You know what we are saying reminds me of when I was studying, when left school, I went to the university to study psychology. And there was a lot of theory, and everything was Freud. And I said, everything, I was I was a great student. I got my qualifications were great. But then I said, everything that I'm studying and reading, how am I going to help people? But because I had the wrong paradigm, I
Yeah.
had the sense that I had to get to know something that would
Mhm.
allow me to help somebody. And so totally different. So and it was like what happened to you with the word teach and share.
Mhm.
I felt I had to do something for no, 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 it's not like that. I'm not
Mhm.
against psychology, of course, but this is what my experience was when I
Yes.
was learning all that theory there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's something about finding the right word for you. So it might not be the right word for somebody else.
Exactly.
And even through different languages, a direct translation from Spanish to English may not be correct. You may
Mm.
get the essence of what it really is, and because it means different. It has a different essence, I think, in different languages.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, I do believe that. It's like two different worlds. It's
Hmm.
because it is different cultures, different languages, different cultures. So I come
Yeah.
from I'm Argentinian, so I speak, my mother tongue was Spanish, but then I learned English when I was very, very small. When I was in kindergarten, my mom spoke English too. So it was like a
Yeah.
mixture. But then I realized that for some things I get the word and it doesn't have the same, even though it's the exact translation, and many times there's no exact translation, but it doesn't have the same feel.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, and it's so important to preserve that for you as well, to make sure that you find the right word for you, no matter what language it is in, and that.
Yes.
And I remember, during the advanced week-longs, when they do the bilingual, that's phenomenal.
The
I always,
cross-lingual focusing.
yeah, the
Yes, that's
cross-lingual, yeah.
fascinating.
Oh, I love doing that, and it forces me to focus in Irish, as Gaeilge, and I'm not fluent in as Gaeilge, but it really it makes me slow down and think of the
Mm.
word, and then it has a different resonance in my body, and it's so curious. Yeah, it's incredible. Amazing.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And then also knowing that there's so much more apart from words, no matter what the language is. It's the expression, the gestures, the hand. There was when I put my hand here, I could feel, oh yeah, so much more, and this meant so much also.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like all our bodies are speaking and expressing themselves. We express in so many different ways with our eyes, our smiles.
Yeah, so it's just coming back to me now what you and you were speaking at the start about, sensing and connecting within and but also connecting without. Something about your whole self, that connection with the whole of you, of who you are, like with the gestures, with the body movement, with your languages, there's something by connecting deep within you can connect with your whole body self. You're more
Mm.
than just this.
Yes,
um
yes, yes, absolutely. I love what the I don't like using the word definition, but when Jenlin speaks about the body and he says that it's here now, other places, other people, and
mm,
it's this bodily felt, this body as it is felt from the inside is a relationship with the whole vast system, and
yeah.
and 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 that is something that I am very much aware of in certain kinds of mood. Not I would love to say that I'm aware of that and I'm in contact with that all the time, but I would be lying. I would love to.
Yeah.
But it's like when I feel when I'm immersed in nature and I can feel that real connection, I because we are interaction, we are body environment interaction. It's like
Mhm.
the lungs and the air are one. We breathe in the air and our lungs so we are that, but this but we can only really feel, I'm going to speak for myself, I can only really feel that and really have the sense of that in certain circumstances,
Mhm.
in a certain moments, and but then it's like, oh, okay, yes, I really feel that it's like body environment interaction. It's body environment interaction.
Yeah.
It's one thing. It's one thing.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
and it's wonderful. It has
Mhm.
a different quality and allows for for a sense of everything else in a much richer way, much
Yeah.
richer way.
Amazing. Yeah. Can really feel that. That's a feeling, isn't it? It's
Yes,
can't be
difficult to
put into
put into
words.
words,
Mm-hmm.
but I have been, I have spent like 7 hours literally in front of a beautiful scenery in the mountains in here south in Argentina. 6 hours just staring at that and
Oh.
totally immersed. It was like I could have stayed there forever and
Mm-hmm.
ever. Of course I can't, but it's and that sense of being really alive, it's as
Yeah.
part of the whole vast system, as Jean says.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wish
Amazing.
we could all, I myself could be there in that place more, and that we could all be a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more connected in that sense. It would be a much better world and
It would.
humanity and everything, I believe.
Yeah, I do too. That's part of the reason I want to share so much of focusing because of what I have experienced and what I have felt. I want other people to feel that too.
Mm.
And
Mm.
but it's a journey. So, but anyway.
It's like having a treasure, like you was
Yeah.
like having a treasure and wanting to share
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. But
yes.
it's such a slow and gentle process. You can't just go here.
Mm.
And it has to be it the how would you say it? It needs to be shared in a way that's empowering for the person who's receiving it, and not
Yes.
us giving it to them. You know, it's a yeah, it's a way of like a door opening and saying, here, you know, this is,
Mhm.
but
Yes.
it's their bodies that will take them there.
Absolutely, yes. And then there's the deep respect for the rhythm and the timing and the
Yes.
place where other people
Yes.
are at, and not wanting to impose anything, or
Yeah.
being very, very, this is what, when you're
Mhm.
speaking about this is my sense of what you're saying, being
Yes.
very, very
E-
respectful also. Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. But then it's this is the big question. How do we do this more, and in a more successful way?
Yes. 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 We
Hmm.
definitely have to unpack that one. As
Yes.
be curious. No, that's it. Be curious about that one.
I guess
Um,
what we're doing here is part of that, because we
yeah,
are just sharing our experience. It's not
exactly.
about imposing anything on
Mhm.
anybody else, just talking about whatever was rich, good, wise for us, good, whatever.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So unfortunately, we have to. I feel sad having to bring this to an end today, but I just want to
Oh,
ask
yeah.
you one one
Of course.
last question before we go, and it's kind of we like to ask everybody that comes and speaks to us is, you know, what would you like to see from focusing, you know, over the coming years, and what it could evolve into the world.
Oh, yes, this what we were speaking about just now.
Yeah,
I would love to see this being lived more, being shared, as you were saying, not taught,
yeah,
shared more. And and then there I have just such a dilemma, because it's why many times I ask myself, why is this not so easy? So, but I do love to open different spaces, and when I always, wherever I am, I speak about this, and sometimes I don't even mention the word focusing, because nobody understands what that is, but it's just like, oh, okay, and then how do you feel that, and allowing for
yeah,
this. But I definitely would love to see more of focusing going on in
mhm.
the world in general, in different, in politics. In
Yeah.
politics, it would be just wonderful.
If only.
For people, yes, just for people to listen to each other,
Yeah.
and be curious about each other. But then there are so many power struggles and money
Mhm.
struggle, and oh,
Yeah.
and then, well, there's I don't know how to
Mhm.
fight against that. I don't know if the word is fight, but I don't have to fight against that. I just have I believe we just have to do what we do, and
Yes.
just do what you do with these things, Elaine and Therese, that you're doing. It's
Just
wonderful.
just be curious.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Nadia, and we'd love to speak to you again maybe some other time. But for today, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, and being your lovely, lovely self. And look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you, Elaine. This was such a nice time together. Beautiful, a
Yeah.
beautiful time sharing together. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you very,
Thank
very much.